everyone. My name is Raquel Contreras. Welcome to my first virtual workshop. And in my workshop, you're going to learn how children learn their first and second language, And you're also going to learn about a lot of concepts and new vocabulary. So let's get started. Let me share my screen so you guys can see my PowerPoint since it's virtual. All right. Right, so before starting my my presentation, I want to get things flowing. So I wanted to start with the get to know you icebreaker. So I created a game that we could play. It's called Would You Rather. So the way that you play this game is I ask a question and you show me one finger. So if you choose option number one, or two fingers if you choose option number two. And since this is a virtual workshop, you could either also put it in the chat or you could show me your fingers, however you like. I'm going to be participating with you guys too. So let's get started. All right. So the first question is, would you rather have pineapple on pizza? So I know there's a lot of people that yes, no. So let's see. I do have a timer, so it's a 10-second timer. So let's see. So remember, 1 for yes, or 2 for no thank you. So, all right, I choose 1. So I love pineapple on my pizza. So let's see. Let's go to the second question. Second question is, would you rather winter all year or summer all year? So again, only 10 seconds. This is going to be quick. 1 for winter all year, 2 for summer all year. All right, time is up. I say summer. I hate snow. I hate shoveling the snow. I hate being cold. I love summer. So let's see. We got one more question and that's it. We're gonna go ahead. So would you rather fly or would you rather be invisible? So again, let me see my 10-second timer. 1 for fly, 2 for invisible. All right, I chose option number 2, invisible. That way people will not see me and I could go from one to another place and disappear. All right, let's get to the real deal. So let's start by explaining what language acquisition is. So what language acquisition is, it is the language, is the process by which we learn to speak. And I wanna show you guys exactly how we are able to learn that. So let's see, how do children learn languages? So the way that children learn is by interacting with their parents. So the more they observe, the more they see, the more they are able to imitate. So if you play around with them, if you show them how to say a word, that's exactly how they learn their languages. They do not learn how their languages by putting them in a tablet or putting them in front of a TV or a radio or like any kind of devices. They don't learn like that. So do not put your kids in a tablet if you want them to learn their languages. All right, let's get. So there are 4 major stages of language acquisition that all children go through. So it would be the first stage would be the babbling stage. The second would be the holophrasic stage, which is also considered the one-word stage. That's when they start learning little small words. And then they move on to the two-word stage, which is just putting words together. And then the telegraphic stage. So let's learn a little bit about each one of them. So first, like I said, it's the babbling stage. So this stage, the infants begin experimenting with sounds. So this is not exactly words because they're not there yet. It's more like noises. And I want to show you a little clip, a video of how this babbling stage would sound.
Sorry.
You hear the baby?
Yeah, what else happened?
You see how they're engaging with the parent?
Talk to Dada. Yeah.
And the babies are answering back in their own way.
What else happened? Yeah. What else?
All right, well, that was a little bit of the babbling stage. I want to show you guys the second stage, which is the holophrasic stage. The one that I said that is also considered the one-word stage. I don't have a video for this one. I'm going to show it to you guys later on. So during this stage, they have developed enough language skills to say single words. So in the other one was more like sounds, and this one is actual words. So they could consist of, you know, simple words like go, mine, milk, car, dada. And during this stage, they start learning, and they refer they refer the words to like objects. So they start putting those things together, like, oh, I have my milk. This is my milk, so I say milk. And like mom, and then they're saying mama. So they start putting those things together. They start identifying. Let's learn about the third stage. The third stage is the two-word stage. So like I said, first is the first one-word stage, then they go to the two-word stage. So this is where they combine words that they already learned in the previous stage, the holophrasic stage. And this stage, they begin during the 18 to 24 months. So they start putting more words together. So if they want to ask for more, they say more milk. If he means like daddy is sleeping, he will say daddy sleep, you know, 2 words. And let me show you a little small clip of the 1-word and 2-word stage.
Can you say daddy? Can you say all done? Can you say thank you?
See, that's the 2-word stage.
Can you say amen? Can you say... Now say Raiden. Say daddy. Say grandma. Say Carson.
This is the 2 stage.
Okay. What about this one? What about this one? Fish. Yep.
They're able to identify objects.
What is it? Meow. Yeah. What about that one? What
The
about that one?
holophrasic stage that I had mentioned before.
What about that one? Okay. What about that one? And this one? Yeah.
All right, so let's learn about the last stage. that they go through. So the last stage that they go through is the telegraphic stage. So during this stage, it begins around the ages of 2.5 years old. And they're able to use a mixture of nouns and verbs to describe objects. So let's see what it might sound like. Oh, sorry. So he's explaining what he's doing.
I teach them how to go potty and take a bath. And how do all the letters.
He's able to create, a sentence.
That'd be great.
And be on the bed and drink water and pick up mommy and
All right, that was a little bit of that. So let's learn how these theories help children with language acquisition. All right, so on the left side, you could see the theorist, and then on the right side, you're able to see what each one of them invented, So these are just 4 main theories. There are lots of more. So let's learn a little bit about each one of them. So I chose B.F. Skinner. I also chose Piaget, Chomsky, and Bruner. And let's see. Oh, okay, sorry. All right, for Skinner, he invented the behaviorist theory. So his theory consists of observing and imitating, as well as rewards and punishments. So the way that children learn is by saying something. So as a parent, you tell them something that you want them to say. So you tell them, say milk, and then the baby says milk, and then you're like, yes, you get very excited when they do the things that you tell them to do. So this is what the theory consists of. Let's learn about Piaget's theory. So his theory, he believed that intelligence changes as children grow. He also believed that learning takes place through stages. And also that each child goes through the same stage. But remember, not all children are the same, so they all learn through different rates. Yes, they go through the same stages, but at different rates. So let's not get that confused, okay? Okay, right here, this is the Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So like I had said, it consists of 4 stages of development. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what each stage consists of. So the first stage is called the sensory motor stage. So this happens between birth and 2 years. So during this stage, he learns about the world by moving around and exploring its environment. So children are exploring, they're using their 5 senses to learn about, the world. The second stage, it's called pre-operational stage. This happens between the ages of 2 to 7 years old. And they learn to speak and understand that words and images and gestures are symbols for something else. So during the third stage, the concrete operational stage happens between ages 7 to 12 years old. And during this stage, the child realizes that people see the world different a different way than he does. So, they start learning about other people's emotions and how it might make them feel. And in the fourth stage, it's called the formal operational stage. So this happens around the 12 years and forward. So during this stage, they're able to follow the form of an argument without having to think in terms and examples, and they can understand success and failure. So they're able to understand a little bit more because they're older now. So, and they're more aware of people's emotions, and they feel compassionate about what they're feeling. All right, this is another theorist. His name is Noam Chomsky, and he invented the linguistic theory. So his theory consists of he believed that infants and children learn language at a speed that cannot be explained by the laws of behaviorism. He also argues that children learn rules of language and apply them in their own way. So he argues that all humans' brains are pre-wired with language acquisition device. So let's see. This is another theorist. He invented and sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, interactionist theory. There you go. So Jerome Bruner was the creator of the internationalist, like I had said. He believed that children can't learn to speak by just watching or listening. So, like I had said previously, remember that I said they learn by looking and observing, and his theory also consists of the children need to engage. So like I had said, it's similar to the behaviorist theory. So they need to see, they need to engage in order for them to learn this their language. Sorry. All right, let's see. This is the second language acquisition. So just how there's the first language acquisition, there's also a second language. So this consists of kids that already know one language, and then they learn a second language. So in order for that, you need to pass through 5 stages. And the first stage would be the silent period. The second stage would be the early production. The third stage would be speech emergency. Fourth stage would be the intermediate fluency. And then the fifth stage would be the advanced fluency. So let's see. So the first stage is the silent period. So what is this? So during this stage, they spend time learning vocabulary and practicing new words. The student just repeats words all over and all over because they're barely starting. They're very timid, learning the new language. They're scared that they're gonna, say something wrong, or they're gonna pronounce it different. So the second stage is called early production. All right, so during this stage, they're able to speak in one or two word phrases. So they already are catching up. They're learning new words. They're putting them together. And they're, learning words. They're being a little bit more self-conscious about, the words that they're saying. Let's learn about the third stage. Let's see. The third stage is called speech emergence. So during this stage, the students learn to communicate by putting the words in short phrases. So like I said, first they start, learning they start by learning the words. They're still scared. Then they put words together. And then during this stage, that's when they start, kind of having an understanding of what it is to connect words together. So students are catching on and can speak short phrases. So this could take up to 6 months. And then they're able to go to the stage 4, which is the intermediate fluency. So this stage, during this stage, the students are able to form full sentences and engage in conversations, but with grammar errors. So they're starting to put words together, sentences together, and they're starting to, learn the second language. And during this stage, students have at least a vocabulary of 6,000 words. So let's see. Oh, there's a 5th stage. It's called the advanced fluency. So during this stage, students learn more and more words. So they become more comfortable speaking English just as their native language. So if they're Spanish speakers and they learn their second language as English, they're becoming more comfortable with that language, and they're able to, make more sentences and speak it a little bit more fluently. So how does the stage of learning affect second language acquisition? So their pronunciation, it could affect their pronunciation a little bit. Their accent, the way that they're saying the words, it becomes a little bit harder rather than learning both languages when they're younger. Their accent and their pronunciation is very different. So I want to show you guys a little small video that I found of people getting interviewed, and they're asking them to say different, like, little short words. So I want you guys to pay attention to their pronunciation and how their accent is, because they remember this is their second language, so it is gonna sound different, and they did learn this second language later on in the day, in their life. So let's see. They're just introducing themselves.
13. 13. Terrorist.
You hear how they
Terrorist.
sound?
Terrorist. No. Terrorist.
Which they find it funny. It could be a little bit funny.
Kalau padamu.
War.
You could hear their accent, right?
Word.
Appearance.
All right, that was the little small clip that I wanted to show you guys. So let's move on. All right, so let's move on to who are the main theories of second language acquisition. Since we were talking about the second language, I feel like it's important for you guys to know the theories. So like on the left side, I only chose 3. So like I said, there is a lot more, but these are the top 3 that I chose. So Schumann invented the acculturation model. Chomsky, the oh my goodness, nativism theory, and Vygotsky, the social cultural theory. So let's learn a little bit about what each consists of. So like I said, Schumann invented the acculturation model theory. So his theory consists of immigrants picking up a new language while being immersed in it. So immigrants learning a new language. Let's see. This one is Chomsky. He invented the, oh my goodness, I can't pronounce it. Nativist theory. So his theory, believes that children knows the rules or the order of how to speak from a very young age. So he argues that children are able to understand the appropriate order. So since they're young, he believes that at a young age, they're able to put words in the right place. So instead of saying milk I want, they say I want milk. So he believes that at a very young age, they're able to do that, you know, which is pretty cool. Let's learn about Vygotsky. He invented the social cultural theory. He believed that children learns from what they see around them. So yes. Right here I wrote an example of this theory. So it's basically saying that if a child lost her doll, she would go ahead and go ask the dad or the mommy if they seen it, right? So then the parent would start asking questions like, did you leave it in the kitchen? Did you leave it, in the bathroom? Did you leave it in the living room? And each time the child is saying no. So did you leave it in the kitchen? No. Did you leave it in the living room? No. So then finally, the dad asked, did you leave it in your playroom? And then the child's like, oh, I think I did. So the child goes and, tries to see if she could find the doll that she lost, and she finds it, right? So between the child and the dad, they both solve the problem, right? The dad by asking the questions, the little girl by like going back and saying like, did I leave it there? Yes. Did I leave it there? No. So between them two, they solved it. And next time that the child loses something, the child is already gonna have strategies to find the object that she wants. She probably may need that's help, but at least she has strategies to help her like think, did I leave it here? Did I leave it over here? All right, let's move on. The next slide. So this is the simultaneous or sequential bilingual. So what is it and what does it mean? So simultaneous bilingualism is when bilingualism is achieved via acquiring a first and second language concurrently. Sequential bilingualism is when bilingualism is achieved via learning a second language later than the first language. So here's an example that I put. It only means that that when parents speak more than one language, it can be difficult to choose whether to introduce both or all languages at the same time from birth. So I remember when my daughter was young, I introduced her to just Spanish because it was just Spanish speaking at home, I speak Spanish, dad speaks Spanish, and English, but her grandparents only speak Spanish. So I just introduced Spanish to her. I wouldn't speak to her in English. But then I was like, should I introduce English to her because she's going to school? I stopped. I was scared to introduce a second language. I didn't know if it was the right thing to do or not, because I didn't want to confuse her. So this is what it means, you want to be able to teach, as bilingual parents, you want to be able to teach both languages, but you don't know if it's the right decision or not. And you're gonna be scared, and you're gonna think if it's okay for you to either choose just one language, let them learn it, and then later on, would they be able to pick it up, or to introduce both languages when they're small? Which I believe you should, introduce both languages since they're small, because the younger that they are, the better, because their little brains are like sponges. They grasp everything and they learn everything when they're little. So don't be scared. Let's move on. Who are these types of bilinguals? So who is classified what? So let's see. Simultaneous bilinguals, they are children who are exposed to more than one language prior to age 3. So they develop 2 or more languages equally or nearly equal through exposure and frequent opportunities to use each language. So simultaneous bilinguals develop is marked by phases. So there's 3 phases that they go through. So the first one is the early phase, which is birth to 3. The second phase is middle phase. It's the 3 to 4 year olds. And the later on phase is when they're 4 to 5. Who are these bilinguals? So sequential bilinguals are children that are exposed to additional languages at age 3 or older. Sequential bilinguals differ from receptive bilinguals in that they have had little to no opportunity to build receptive skills prior to age 3. So this means that they learned the language from scratch. That's all it means. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4. The phases that I was mentioning. The sequential bilinguals, they move through 4 stages. So the first stage would be the home language use. So it uses the home language regardless of the language used by others. The second stage would be observational and listening stages. So during this stage, they rehearse the new language quietly. During the third stage, it's called the telegraphic and formulatic speech. So during this stage, they use telegraphic speech. And then they move on to the productive language use, which is the last stage. And it consists of utilizing both social language and academic language. So why is it important to know who simultaneous and sequential bilinguals are? So parents worry that learning 2 languages at once would be confusing, like I was mentioning earlier. Now you're bilingual, you don't know if it's okay to introduce both languages when they're little or not. So most experts say that it's fine to start from birth. It is if the child has 2 native languages. So if experts are saying it's okay, then it's okay. And also knowing multiple languages can help your child in school and in her future career. So yes, I believe that it could help you in your future if you're bilingual. How does the simultaneous and sequential bilinguals affect teachers? So let's see how in the world does it affect teachers? So teachers may provide instruction in both languages. They use gestures, they provide visuals, they extend the wait time, they check for understanding, and depending if they are considered simultaneous or sequential. So what is social language and academic language? Social language is the set of vocabulary that allows us to communicate with others in the context of regular daily conversations. So social language is language that we use when we're talking to our friends, when we're in the playground, when we're in the classroom. Academic language, on the other hand, is the set of specific terminology that pertains to a specific subject people usually learn in academic context. So what academic language basically means is in social terms, so I put an example here, math example. In social terms, we would say the word average, which means regular, right? So in math, average doesn't mean regular. In math, it means either mean, medium, or mode. So that's what academic language is. Let's see. So what is the difference between BICS and CALP? So let's first learn what BICS is and then what CALP means. So BICS stands for Basic Interpretational Communication Skills. So it is the language necessary for day-to-day living, including conversations with friends and informal interaction. So this is the language that you are able to speak with a friend when you're talking on the phone, when you're texting, CALP, on the other hand, is CALP stands for Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency. So this refers to students' abilities to understand and express in both oral and written modes. And they're relevant to succeed in school. So in this language, they use vocabulary in the classrooms and in their workspace. So this takes up to at least 5 years to develop. And the other one takes up to 6 to 2 years to develop. Let's see. Why can't see the title? Let me see. Why is it important to have time dedicated in the classroom to teach? Sorry, you are sharing your screen is covering it. That's why I was having a hard time. Why is it important to have time dedicated in the classroom to teach? So we want to be able to support the students to our full capacity. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we are able to identify who those students are, who are the ones that are struggling academically. So if they're struggling, we want to be able to help them as teachers, right? So we also need to remember that being socially fluent is not the same as being able to use the language at the same academic level as their native English peers. So just because you know the language doesn't mean that you're learning it academically. Let's see. What is cultural competence? So cultural competence is the ability to interact effectively with people of diverse backgrounds and different identity groups by being sensitive and respectful, and you respect their beliefs and what they practice. Let's see. So why is it important for my students? So it's important because without it, our opportunity to build those relationships is impossible. So students will interact with diverse racial or ethnic backgrounds, refugees, immigrants that are in their classroom, there's different ethnicities, there's different backgrounds, there's, immigrants are their classroom that they're gonna be their peers, and they're gonna be interacting with them, and they need to be able to know that there's different cultures and that everyone's different, and that they will learn a lot from each and one of them, no matter if their nationality, no matter what they believe in. But we need to teach these kids that to respect that, if they believe one thing and the other kid believes another thing, we need to, as teachers, teach these kids to be able to respect that. So let's see, what strategies and actions can help support the development of cultural competence in our classrooms. So we need to be able to encourage them to be curious. So the more they ask, the more they will learn. So they're little kids. They're gonna want to know, why this or why that, or why does she look different, or why is she a different color? And as teachers, it's very important for us to be able to explain to these kids, in a nice way without making them feel bad. And like I said, the more they ask, the more they learn. So we could also encourage perspective talking to show the student how it might make them feel if they were receiving end of a stereotype. So like you want to be able to, if they come up to you and say like, oh, all Chinese people look like this, or as a teacher you should be able to like explain to them to not stereotype. You get me? Let's see. I want to know, this is a question you could answer in the chat. Since it's a virtual workshop, I would like to know how, since we were learning about, wait, give me 1 second. Oops, sorry. I took it off. Give me 1 second. I lost the page. There you go, I found it. All right, there you go. Let me make it bigger for you. Sorry. There you go. All right. I would like to know, how would you handle this as a teacher? So I put a little scenario down here. Since we were talking about the stereotypes and stuff like that. So I put Sophia is Hispanic and Lynn is Chinese. Sophia notices that Lynn is eating something that she is not familiar with and makes a comment to Lynn by saying, "What are you eating? That looks nasty." So how would you handle this situation as a teacher? Would you let it slide? Would you explain to them that everyone's different, that everyone eats different? Because this actually happened to my child when she was in school. She was eating pozole. So I had packed her pozole, and there was a kid that was like, "Ew, what are you eating?" And I've always talked to her about how people make not nice comments about things. So I've explained to her that she could talk to them about, instead of being, answering bad about it, she could explain to them like, "Hey, like everyone eats different stuff, it's okay if you don't like this, but I like it." So I believe she told me, "I'm eating pozole," that she told the kid, "I'm eating pozole. If you don't like it, you never tried it, it's okay if you haven't tried it." So as a teacher, how would you handle this? Like I said, you could put it in the chat since it's a virtual workshop. And then we could go through the responses in a little bit, but let's keep going. So I'm having a hard time reading the title because it says your screen is sharing. So I'm gonna try my best to read. What is transfer for bilingual students? So let's learn first what is transfer. So language transfer refers to speakers or writers applying knowledge from one language to another. So this could be complicated because your first language may cause mistakes in your translating it to your second language. So the way that you would put it, I guess, in English, the way that you say it, it would be right here. I have an example. What time did you wake up today? So you would want to sub for every single word, right? So in Spanish, what means que, time means tiempo. And then let me see, did you, it means hizo tu despertar hoy. So like it doesn't make sense, right? So I think this other example makes a little bit more sense. So I means yo, like is gusta, my is me, then black is negro, then gato is cat. So if you were to translate "I like my black cat" from English to Spanish, it would sound like "Yo gusta mi negro gato," which doesn't really make sense, like the formatting of the sentence does not make sense. So that's why it's saying that it's complicated. So this is another example for like a different language that's not Spanish. So Korean sentence uses a subject, object, and verb. And the English, sentence, they follow a subject, verb, and object structure. So in the left side is the Korean, the subject, object, and verb. And then in the right side, it's the English structure. So it would be the subject, verb, and object. So if we were to translate in the same format, and not same, I guess same formatting sentence, but not the structure. Sentence, it would be for English, I, and then you would put saw as the verb, and then your cat as an object, right? So it reads, I saw your cat. But for Korean, their structure is different. So it's gonna change the way around of how a sentence is written. So in Korean, you wouldn't translate it as I saw your cat. It would translate to your cat saw. So you see how it's different there too. So what strategies can teachers use to teach students to transfer knowledge from one language to the other? So teachers can use anchor charts. And they could also use visual representations so that students can see how sentences look like side by side. So a little bit of how I showed you previously, that's how I think you're able to show, so the kids could see visuals. You could create anchor charts. So I also put here an example of the structure for an English, a Spanish, a French, or a Japanese, how they all follow like the same structure, even though it could be a little bit, sound a little bit different. But did you see how the Korean one was way different? The formatting of the words was way off. But this is how you're able to help out the child as a teacher. You could provide them with charts. You could also do like centers and make it like a little game where they're able to create sentences using this format, which I think they'll have fun. So let's learn about cognates. What is it? So cognates are words from different languages that have similar spelling, pronunciations, and meanings. So I knew this existed because I always thought about it when I was younger, how one word can relate to another one in a different language. So for Spanish, you would say restaurante, and in English, it sounds like restaurant. Another example is historia for Spanish, and in English, history. So you see the resemblance, they sound similar. So, when you're learning a second language, I feel like that's how kids or adults, that's how they see the resemblance, and that's how they're able to learn language, because they hear the words and it sounds the same. Another example would be accidente, accident, grupo, group. See how it sounds the same? So that's how you're able to learn. See, how does cognates help students transfer knowledge? So cognates make it possible for language learners at any age to use their new words right away. English and Spanish speakers can easily make connections because a lot of words sound the same. So exactly like I was saying earlier, it sounds the same. So they're able to pick up the second language a little bit easier and faster and learn it, like this. So, oh my goodness, this is my last slide. I can't believe we went through it so quickly. So this is an exit ticket. We learned about language acquisition, second language acquisition, simultaneous or sequential bilinguals. We also learned about social and academic language, cultural competence, and language transfer. So I'm gonna send this in the chat, or I could email it however you guys want, since I'm telling you guys it's a virtual workshop. And I want to see what you guys learn about during my workshop. So you could put like a little check mark if applied, yes, not sure, no. I did put a statement and then I want to see, you don't have to put your name. I want to see what you guys learned during my workshop. And also I will be providing this handout that's also in my next slide. I could put it in the chat as well or email it, however you guys want. These are just 2 different pages. One of them is called, the first page is called Colorín Colorado. So this page is it provides it offers tons of bilingual research-based information and also activities for English language learners. So teachers are able to use it, and it supports the English language learners, and it gives you lots of strategies that you're able to use. And the good part is that it's bilingual, you know, it's Spanish and English. And the same thing with the second Reading Rockets. I think they're like partner or somehow related. The second one is it's also a website that provides you with information on how young children learn to read and how you're able to help them if they're struggling. So it also includes resources for teachers, librarians, parents, principals. This is a good source to use in your classroom. So take a look at it. You know, there's lots of, you know, links that you're able to see and resources. So check it out. I could send it out in the chat, and let me know if you guys like this. So thank you once again. My name was Raquel Contreras. Thank you for coming into my virtual workshop, my first virtual workshop. So let me know how I did, and thank you very much. Let's see.